there. And now let's go back to our panel. Democratic consultant and former House Judiciary Committee Chief Counsel Julian Epstein, Democratic consultant and former House, that's still Julian's. It's in there twice. We've also got Rich Rubino there, who's an independent political strategist. And we have former California Republican Party chairman, author and lawyer Tom Del Beccaro. Tom, let me come to you first here. This is obviously an attack line that Republicans are going to use, what the former president was outlining there, that you can't say you're going to solve America's problems when you bear some responsibility, presumably, as vice president for the issues America currently faces.
Yes, she's running a great campaign. She doesn't have to tell what her plans are. She can deny plausible responsibility for being in part of the Biden administration, and she lies about Trump's intentions. What a great way to get things done if you can. The only question now is whether going forward she's going to have to answer some questions. I will also note this. I'm here in California. I've known this person for a considerable period of time. I debated her twice. She has no record where she actually accomplishes things. Did she show up in court a few times? Yes, she did. She was known as the photo op attorney general, meaning she'd show up for photo ops, but she didn't manage the place. And now the country is supposed to put her in charge of the largest entity in the history of mankind?
Julian, to you now. Kamala Harris has had this long honeymoon period with the media. It appears to be continuing, at least through the DNC now. But her own Peter Doocy has been on the ground there, brilliant and good-humored. He took a shot at maybe getting an interview. Take a listen.
Madam Vice President, hi. Congratulations.
Good to see you.
Are you ready for your Fox News interview? Good to see you, man.
I'm working towards it.
Congratulations.
We are all ready for the interview, the press conference. When is it coming, Julian?
It should happen soon. Look, and it should happen continually, as Obama and Clinton did. They showcased their deftness and their superiority and on the policy issues, and that was to their credit. They also pivoted to the political center, both Clinton and Obama, and to some extent Biden, and that was to their political credit. And the campaign of joy is working for Harris right now because it's giving the double haters a place to go that's younger and more optimistic. And that's sort of fine for now. The problem with it is it's out of step with the public mood, and the public mood is one of great dissatisfaction with the Democrats over the last 4 years. So at some point, this sort of honeymoon period comes to the end. And then the question that the Democrats have got to be careful of is all you have to do is look at Mike Dukakis in 1988. The sort of the good feelings on that come out of a campaign can give way quite quickly if the other side starts to get traction on the issues. And this is why I think it's a big mistake for Harris to be ducking the press. I think she's got to engage with the news media because otherwise the press is going to sniff weakness, and they're going to sniff that the Democrats and the campaign are admitting that she cannot withstand sort of the heat in the kitchen from a tough media interview. I think she's got to do that. And I think she also has to pivot to the political center, which she didn't in the economic speech last week. This is exactly has been the recipe for success of previous successful Democratic nominees, and it's not what the campaign is doing right now. So I think there's a little bit of magical thinking going on with the Democrats that they think this campaign of joy they can ride it into the November election. I think that's a little dangerous.
Rich, part of pivoting to the center, if you like, it seemed to me in this speech tonight, was trying to reclaim patriotism as a value, which I think has been taken away from the Democrats over the last decade or perhaps more. But you saw that chant, USA, USA. We saw them waving all the flags. It was interesting that I think that the party tonight, through Kamala Harris, tried to reclaim that sense of pride in the nation, which they'd lost to some extent.
Yes, absolutely. That was the Democrats were seen as a party of patriotism, basically from Harry Truman through Lyndon Johnson. It was 1968 when there were a lot of protests. 1972, the Republicans tried to use it against George McGovern, the Democratic nominee, and that was where they began based on the Vietnam War. It became an inflection point, and that began Republicans saying that Democrats weren't as patriotic. Then in '84, you had the Democratic National Convention, which was in San Francisco, and that allowed the Republicans to call them San Francisco liberals. So this was really, and it's really, the political parties are really changing, because if you listen to some of the speeches early on, Leon Panetta, for example, talking about a very muscular foreign policy, talking about continuing to supporting the Ukraine, Mark Kelly, the senator from Arizona, doing the same thing. The Republicans are becoming more and more less interventionist, and the Democrats are becoming more and more interventionist overseas. There's one thing, though, about Mike Dukakis, which is interesting, because Mike Dukakis was ahead by 17 points in the summer of 1988, and he ended up losing 40 states at the end of the election by November. Republicans are very good at going after him, so I think that she really has to look at that for anyone who thinks she's ahead, that she can can fall pretty fast. And in terms of politics of joy, that worked for Hubert Humphrey. Tried the same thing, interestingly, in 1968. He said, "I'm pleased as punch, the politics of joy," but it didn't quite work out for him because of Vietnam and the race riots at the time.
Some great points, great discussion there. Rich, Julie, and Tom, thank you so much.